everybody. This is me, MC Gamer, your instructor and host here at Hyrule Academy, a radio show that happens every single week here on Radio Hyrule, every single Friday, in fact, at 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time. It's an exciting time to be on Hyrule Academy, everybody. I hope you're all excited for tonight's discussions. It's a fun show where we talk all about Zelda lore and fan theories. And of course, we listen to some fantastic Zelda music that I have selected myself, and you guys all selected. You had a hand in it. In fact, that first song of the night, the Minuet of Forest from the Hyrulean Ensemble, that was requested by our friend, a Pluma Freak 500. I don't know if it's AP Luma Freak or a Paluma Freak. I'm gonna guess a AP Luma Freak because their avatar was a Luma from Super Mario Galaxy. Did you guys hear the excellent fan theory that Lumas are literally stars? Wow, I didn't believe it, but I don't care about Mario theory. We're here for Zelda theory. Am I right, friends? How about an excellent show on our hands? We're going to talk all about a very exciting subject, something that was widely requested, may I say, by a certain member of our Hyrule Academy family. That's right. It is the Hyrulean Civil War. The Hyrulean Civil War is one of the very few wars that we have inside the canonical Zelda timeline, but it's one that it doesn't have a lot of details about it, which is why it's gonna be a fun night of theorizing and coming up with our own stories, and it's gonna be a fun time. But so a little bit of backstory. What we do know about this, like it is in the canon, it's a war. But yeah, hey, all right, we're in there. It's a war. Done. That's all the information we got. Go to work. No, I'm just kidding. Just kidding. It's a war in Hyrule that it happens sometime before Ocarina of Time. We don't have the specifics of when it was. All we know is Link, the chosen hero. Actually, we do have specifics of that. Well, pretty close to specifics. Link, the chosen hero, as it were, was delivered to the Great Deku Tree sometime during the fires of war. When war was erupting across Hyrule, Link's mother brought him to the Deku Tree and said, "Take care of my son." And then she died. That was tragic. But hey, that does give us a little bit of a frame of reference, am I right? We know it's somewhere in the realm of 1 to like 11 years or something like that. So yeah, somewhere around there, it's been pretty recent before Ocarina of Time. And the Hyrule Historia tells us that the war went on for countless eras. So if that was the end of the war, how long is an era? We don't really know. We know it went on for countless eras is the concrete word we have, but we don't. That's not a really concrete word. An era can be like, man, the era of Hyrule Academy. Remember 2014? What a great era. Also, you could say the era of the internet that has been going on for like over 20 years. Well, around 20 years. Like the internet's been around like mainstream. A little less than that. Mainstream. I'm not here to talk about internet theory. I'm here to talk about Zelda theory, for gosh darn sake. And eventually the fighting is quelled by the King of Hyrule. And that word quelled is going to be a big point of discussion tonight, I feel. So make sure you keep that in mind as we head forward. And the land is united under his kingdom. Welcome to Hyrule, everybody. This is Hyrule. Over there's our mountain. Over there's our lake. Over there's our forest. We have a ranch. Anybody interested inside horses? We have a ranch. It's all Hyrule. And Ganondorf, the leader of the Gerudo, swears his loyalty to the king. He kneels before the king, and he says, I am your now under your leadership, O wise king. Of course, we know how that went. Oops. And now I have some questions for you guys, because that's all the details we really have to work off of. 1, why was this war fought? Of course, the name the Hyrulean Civil War is something that really will make us think tonight about why they were fighting within Hyrule. But why was the war fought? 2nd, who was involved with this war? Was there any parties in Hyrule that were just not involved? Did they say, we're not part of this? We'll be part of your Hyrule if you want. Just don't touch us. We're neutral. What's that country that's always chill and like next to Germany? It's one right above it, isn't it? Or right to the side of it? I believe they make some sort of pancake waffles. Belgium? I don't know. All right, go ahead and give me some answers on not that, because this is not a real life civil war. This is a Switzerland. Thank you, chat. Switzerland. Swiss Army knives? I don't know. I'm not here for real history. I'm here for Zelda history. And lastly, what are the long-term effects of the war? Let me know what you think some of these long-term effects are that has changed Hyrule because of this war. If you want to discuss these questions or ask your own, and you're listening to the show but you're not already inside the chat room, head over to radiohyrule.com/chatroom, and you will feature your messages possibly on later on the show. Get theorizing, get chatting. I'll be inside there talking and shooting down your ideas with facts and fiction. Mostly facts. Shooting down with fiction would be kind of a mean thing to do. I won't do that. But we got some music. Excellent Zelda music requested by you guys and some other good stuff as well. So everybody keep it locked to Radio Hyrule. I'll be back in just a few. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Hyrule Academy. I'm MC, your host and instructor, where we're talking all about the Hyrulean Civil War tonight here at Hyrule Academy. It's a fun subject. I know, war. Fun subject. Weird, right? I know, everybody's really excited for tonight's discussions. We have a lot of cool things coming up on the show, but I wanted to take a moment out of our theorizing to talk a little bit about one part of the theory that has already been mentioned inside the chat, but I think that I want to touch on it a little bit more, as it's one of the most popular theories when it comes to this subject. But first, you want to know what you've been listening to, right? I'm sorry, I'm getting ahead of myself, and I apologize. I don't apologize. You know that I do that all the time. Anyway, first up was Wistful by Chimpazilla, and I played this song because it's brand new tonight, brand new. It came out just today. Yesterday. Came out just yesterday. And it is a celebration. It's part of the big celebration for OC Remix. They are celebrating their 15th year of releasing video game remixes on the internet. And I'm really excited that the site exists. It's been a huge, valuable resource here at Hyrule Academy for selecting songs every week. And of course, always for just enjoying some great music. I've, of course, enjoyed many of their albums, including, most recently, I've had a chance to re-listen to their Donkey Kong Country 2 album, which I believe was Serious Monkey Business or something like that, something along those lines. And I'm enjoying that album, like 100%. It's amazing. And of course, I just wanted to give shout outs to OC Remix. Congratulations on 15 years of releasing music for us here on the internet for free. You can go and support them over on their website. They have a nice Patreon page if you're so choosing to do such a thing as that. After that, of course, we heard Grand Dreams, A Hero's Legacy by Evan Pattison, and that was also over on OC Remix. So in case you want to hear that, I thought it was a great little undertone to our discussions of war. It was a very valor-filled song, a song filled with valor and honor and chivalry and ability and nobility. And it was a fun song to kind of like underscore our discussions as they get started. I got some fun stuff coming up for you very soon. But now I want to switch gears a bit and talk about one of the most popular theories out there, who has already been mentioned tonight by Tornado Blade 5. It's about Twilight Princess, a game that happens very shortly after the events of Ocarina of Time. Because in that they mention, of course, the Dark Interlopers, this tribe that comes to Hyrule in search of the Triforce, and there's a lot of fighting that happens at the entrance to the Sacred Realm, and because everybody wants the Triforce, everybody knows about the Triforce at this point, and everybody wants it. Everybody wants this Triforce, and so the Dark Interlopers come in and they do their magic, and of course they try to get it, but the goddesses say no. And a lot of people are saying that this could be the very same war, the Hyrulean Civil War that happens between Ocarina of Time, because it is a backstory to Twilight Princess. And it had to have happened before Ocarina of Time, because Twilight Princess is a direct sequel, pretty much. Like, we have like a bit of time. There's not like a ton of time in between, but there's enough time that we see Ganondorf executed. We see him executed and during backstory, so it can't be too far off from the events of Ocarina of Time. It basically has to have enough time for Link to grow up and die, so it's probably within a couple hundred years, I would say. But alas, this theory is weird to me, because it means that this Dark Interloper War had happened before Ocarina of Time. And that means that people had to try to gain entrance to the Sacred Realm. And the big thing that is weird about this is, as we know, the Sacred Realm and the Triforce in Ocarina of Time are protected by Rauru inside the Temple of Light, which is, of course, inside the Temple of Time, underneath the pedestal of time, behind the door of time. That was a lot of time. And so, yeah, there's this weird thing where Rauru's guarding it, and it seems pretty impenetrable unless you're the hero of time. So how does this happen? It has to mean that this war, this Dark Interloper War, happened before the Triforce was sealed away by Rauru, right? That kind of makes some. Oh, hold on, hold the phone! Somebody's trying to call me out inside the chat, saying Temple of Time, not Temple of Light. Hold on. No. Ho. You are doing this right now? You are questioning the instructor of Hyrule Academy, my friend? No. The Temple of Light is a real place. It is the resting place of the Triforce. That's where the Triforce is, and it's within the Sacred Realm. If you go inside the Temple of Time, you pull out the Master Sword, you go to the Sacred Realm. Inside there is the Temple of Light. Inside the Temple of Light is the Chamber of Sages, as well as the resting place of the Triforce. So, no. Step down. This is my classroom, my friend. It's my classroom. I love you and I welcome you, but you gotta be careful there, my friend. Anyways, so this Dark Interloper War has to happen before Rauru seals this place, and the Civil War. It doesn't feel like it would be related to this fight for the Triforce, because in my opinion, and of course my opinion only, it seems that this is about independence, It seems like the Civil War, they're not fighting each other for the Triforce, they're fighting each other for independence, or we're having some sort of other dispute. It doesn't seem like it's about the Triforce, in my opinion. In my opinion, okay? I honestly don't think that these two can be related. It's a hard theory to draw on, and I'm interested if you guys can come up with something that will help solidify this timeline-wise, because it's a valid theory when you think about it in the way of course, people will lust for the Triforce, and they want to get it, but the way that it works with the Triforce being sealed away and nobody really, talking about it other than, really important people, it makes it really feel like it's a hard thing to pull. So you're going to have to give me some details on that Tornado Blade, since I saw you were supporting the theory the most inside the chat. And I think that'll be something to go along with as we head into our next section of the show, which will be our discussion. So I hope you guys are over inside the chat room, radiohyrule.com/chatroom, and having some discussions. Oh, the kid who won the ocarina is no longer chatting. I'm sorry for calling you out. I love you. But you got to be careful, my friend. You got to be careful. I feel like a jerk now. I feel like a right Zelda elitist lore jerk. I'm too snooty, and I'm gonna take a break. I'm gonna listen to some Tall Heights. It's a brand new song, came out just today, and you guys are gonna love it. It's a long one too. It's a long one, but it's a totally great one. I love you guys. All right, keep discussing the Hyrulean Civil War. We'll be back in just a little bit for your comments and discussions. Hello, everybody. This is me, MC Gamer, and welcome back to Hyrule Academy Discussions. Our heated in the chat room tonight, folks. We have all sorts of wonderful things flying all over the place. And despite this anger, despite this arguing that we're having in the chat, I don't want to call it arguing. We're having a heated debate. That's all it is. We're not angry at each other. I love you all. And I'm sure everybody loves each other, too. We've been having some fun discussions. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's fun out there. And I'm going to get to talking about what you guys have been saying here tonight in just a few minutes. But first, what was that song that just graced your ears like happiness on a cloud with rainbows on a bright sunny day? Well, that was Tall Tall Heights. Tall Tall Heights by the second narrator. I mention them every week. They're doing a remix album of Link's Awakening. They're releasing a little bit of music almost every single day over on their YouTube channel, the second narrator. And that they just released that 9-minute version, full orchestral remix of Tall Tall Heights. And it was amazing. I could not resist putting it in the show, despite it being quite a lengthy song. I want to make sure you guys hear that. Plus, the intensity of Tall Tall Heights was perfect for our discussions this evening. In fact, we're going to start looking into those things right now. In fact, so the things we've been talking about have been kind of widespread. There's been all sorts of different discussions, and the first one I want to touch on is what we were talking about just before our music break, which was the theory that this is the same war as what the fans know as the Interloper War, the war that happens for the Triforce, that the Dark Interlopers, the precursor to the Twilight people, come in and they try to get the Triforce. And I was hard on Tornado Blade, who came to this, who brought this theory to the table tonight. I was saying this doesn't make sense timeline-wise, because it would have to be before Ocarina of Time, but we know that the Triforce is sealed and protected by Rauru in Ocarina of Time. It's impossible. It doesn't make timeline sense. And I knew there was one way. I had it in my head. I wasn't going to say it. I was like, I'm going to see if I can just draw this answer out of them. And after enough pressure, my good friend Tornado Blade says, was the Triforce protected by Rauru before the Civil War, though? There's the ticket. That's what I wanted to hear the entire time. I wanted to hear that little mention saying, hey, you know what? Maybe, just maybe, Raru's idea to protect the Triforce came after this big ordeal where a tribe of people storm Hyrule in search of the Triforce, and all of a sudden, luckily the goddesses are there, and they're like, whoa, stop this. This war is erupting, everybody's fighting for the Triforce, the goddesses intervene, so everybody's like, screw this, goddesses are here, we want nothing to do with this. Then maybe, perhaps, Rauru, the wise esteemed sage, he walks up and he's like, okay, since nobody's going to touch this Triforce, I'm going to go and protect it now because I'm friendly with the goddesses. I don't know. It's a very possible theory, and I didn't want to shut it down completely tonight. I wanted to see if Tornado Blade could give me an answer, and that's a very possible theory. I'm not going to, once again, at Hyrule Academy, we want to be open in our theories, because if we shut them down, then we're not having a good show, are we? So yeah, I don't mind this theory. However, the counter argument comes in tonight from Yasitaru, who says, independence and power. The Sacred Realm seemed like more recognized than the Triforce during the war. So they might have wanted to access the royal family's place of power. So Yasitaru is kind of relating this in a way of saying, hey, wait a minute, maybe people weren't after... in this war, they weren't after the Triforce necessarily. They just knew that the royal family had some place where they had power. You know? They're saying, hey, wait a minute. We can go to the Sacred Realm. Let's go there. Screw the Hyrule family. Let's go get this. And again, it's a very possible and relatable theory. However, a lot of people were getting behind a different idea tonight. A different theory. One that's a lot more strong I'd say than the Triforce theory. As much as I love it, and I was glad to hear Tornado Blade kind of give us some good answers about it. It's about the Gerudo. It's strictly about the Gerudo, and it makes more sense considering the discussions that we see in this game, what Ocarina of Time revolves around. And Captain Trina is going to start us off and finish us off with this entire theory, because Captain Trina has been so excited for the subject. Captain Trina says, I mentioned this quote at the beginning of the show, but I left out a few interesting words. And the quote was, Ganondorf, leader of the Gerudo, the people of the desert, once again swore fealty to the King of Hyrule. He swore his loyalty. For those of you guys who don't know what that word means, I know what it means, but I want to make sure you guys know. He swore his loyalty again. Again? What? MC Gamer? Hold the phone. You said again with your mouth. That's right. Captain Trina points out that means at some point the Gerudo were under the Hyrulean throne. But instead, they did something. They did something. They were saying, hey, we don't want to be part of Hyrule. And so he had to once again swear his loyalty. That is the big line that really clues us into the strongest theory about what this civil war was about. It was about these Gerudo were part of this war, and they must have been like, screw it, we want to be our own country, is how Captain Trina puts it. And then comes in the theories about why they want to become their own country. And the discussions were, Captain Trina, of course, said that they felt oppressed. That's how many civil wars and revolutions start. Because, hey, the Hyruleans have always been touted as the chosen people, the people of the Hyrule. Oh my god, you are born from the goddess herself? Well, I'll be darned. All hail Hyruleans. Gerudo, who are you? Get out of here. To the desert with you. And eventually Ganondorf's like, whoa! Hey! We're important too. We deserve better than this lowly desert with the winds that bring nothing but death. We want Hyrule. And so they go, and there's a war, there's battles, and they were originally under the rule of Hyrule, so guess what? It's technically a civil war. The Gerudos and the Hyruleans go to war, and eventually the word quelled comes into play. I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. Nobody mentioned the word quelled. I love the word quell. Such a good word, because it means to put an end to, and usually with force. So the Hyrulean king, his war, he wins. His army is the best. They destroy the Gerudo, and they say, hey, swear your loyalty now. And that word fealty that I mentioned earlier, it means to swear after some sort of war or disagreement. It's like if you were to bet somebody, you were like saying to your friend, hey man, I know this new way to unlock a character in Super Smash Brothers. And the person says, that's not how you do it at all. And then you say, oh yeah, watch this. And then you unlock the character. And they look at you and they say, I was wrong. That is how you unlock the character. So it's kind of like, hey, we're not part of Hyrule anymore. Yes, you are. No, we're not. Goes to war and loses. Yes, we are. Oops. Yeah, so it's kind of that type of situation. It's not like a loyalty where Ganondorf's like, hey, I'm loyal to you. No, it's Ganondorf's going up to him and saying, I guess you win. You know? I guess you win. And now we're going to start talking about something with this, where we talk about who was involved in this war. That like this theory of like we're going to talk about the theory because it is a civil war. Who could have been involved in it? Well, the big thing that nobody really objected to was the Kokiri. The Kokiri were not involved. They're children. They're children of the forest. They're in their little tree houses, talking to their fairies. They don't care. They don't leave the forest. They can't even go fight outside the forest, or else they become Stalfo. They're not leaving there. Are you kidding me? They're not going to fight no wars unless somebody came in and killed all the Kokiri in some sort of violent protest, which would be horrible, may I mention, which didn't happen. That never happened, unless you watched The Legend of Link, an excellent comedy fan film about The Legend of Zelda. Then all the Kokiri will die. But no, I know, right? It's a comedy, and all the Kokiri die. Anyways, so Kokiri probably not involved. But then what about the Zoras? Yasutaro was saying, hey, the Zoras are probably involved because there's a lot of groups here, and they have control of the water. We need water to hydrate the troops. And a lot of people were kind of taking objection to this Yasutaro's message, saying, the Zora live near water and in water. They don't control the water. And that's a question we can't really solve, and I think isn't for tonight's episode of Hyrule Academy, talking about the government of water here. Who owns the water? And plus, I'd like to mention, while the Zoras definitely have Zora's Domain, it's called Zora's Domain after all, and they probably have Zora's River, Zora's River, there's Lake Hylia, the Lake of Hylia. I'm pretty sure the King of Hyrule is the owner of that. I think he has his own water source. Would that be freshwater? Freshwater lake? That's a thing, right? This isn't a geography show. This is a Zelda show. I don't know. Next up, the Gorons seem pretty neutral-minded, according to Yasutaru. As long as they have rocks, they're fed and happy, so perhaps Gorons on a whole aren't involved in the war, but key members might have been for various sides. Perhaps muscle for hire. Hey! Good theory. Good theory indeed. Except one thing. One big thing that Yasutaru and nobody mentioned tonight that I was a little, I don't want to say miffed, but I was sad. I was sad we didn't see this, guys. Nobody mentioned how the Darunia mentions the King of Hyrule is his sworn brother. They are pals. They're more than pals. It takes a lot of work to become the sworn brother of Darunia, the Goron leader. You know, the King of Hyrule and him, they were tight. They were tight. All right. So I would have to say they had to have been involved, because the king in this war that he was fighting, he must have been like, Gorons, Darunia, my sworn brother, you must help me in this battle. And Darunia says, yes, of course. And of course he would want to. You know why? Because Ganondorf's kind of a jerk. And later on, Ganondorf comes and blocks up the entrance to Dodongo's cavern. Of course Darunia would not like him and never want to give him the spiritual stone. It kind of makes sense that he was involved. So I'm leaning towards that theory. But hey, if you want to go for the muscle for hire theory, fine by me. But I'm leaning towards the you're my sworn brother theory. That sworn brother, it feels so good. Why didn't we see the King of Hyrule at all in Ocarina of Time? He seems like such a cool guy. I guess I just like King Daphne's No Hansen so much. What if that's the same king? It does make sense. He is pretty old. White hair and all. Moving on, some other participants. Now this is where things get crazy, and I know this discussion section's already been long already, but I want to keep going with it. We can assume that the Sheikah would do what they can to back up the Hyruleans, according to Captain Trina. And well, that's interesting, because people began to discuss the possibility of the Shadow Temple. The Shadow Temple hid the history of hatred and greed, as Slowpoke as a gamer brought up tonight. Maybe it was used by some sort of fortress or prison where they kept people and maybe interrogated them. They had torture devices in the Shadow Temple. Why not? You know, why not? It does make a little bit of sense, because you would imprison those with hatred and greed. These Gerudo who came and tried to, overthrow Hyrule when we were perfectly fine. We were having a great old time. We're going to throw a party in Lon Lon Ranch. It was going to be great. Instead, the Gerudo's got to go and screw up everything. Thanks, Ganondorf. Why can't you just like your desert? I mean, you have levers. Have a lever barbecue, for gosh sake. I'm sure they taste great. They look kind of delicious. Perhaps with a nice stew. I don't know what I'm talking about. But yeah, so maybe the Shadow Temple was used as a prison. And the Captain Trina says, Captain Trina doesn't say this. She gets a quote. Have you heard the legend of the Shadow Folk? They are the Sheikah, the shadows of the Hyruleans. They swore allegiance to the King of Hyrule. So there you go. They are definitely underneath the king and guarded the royal family. So it would make sense that the Sheikah town, Kakariko, and the Shadow Temple that the Sheikah were very strongly involved with might be involved. Maybe the Sheikah were involved in a bigger capacity in this war by being the people who guarded the prison of these war evildoers. I'll say traitors, but not really. I guess they're kind of traitors against the Kingdom of Hyrule. But then something very fun comes in. Yasutaru says Impa was stated to have reopened the town to non-Sheikah people. Most likely, and here comes the theory, as refuge for those displaced by the war that only ended a decade or so ago. It makes sense that Impa, who seems pretty young in her years, would say, hey, everybody, I know this war has been tough, but guess what? We're no longer using the prison over here. So we have a whole town where everybody can come and hang out. We don't mind if you're not a Sheikah. It's fine. Your house was burnt down. That was tragic. Here, sleep next to the potion shop. The smell might be a little bit crazy. All right, a little bit crazy. Now, that is the most of our discussion tonight, and it's interesting, all the things we've been saying, and I'm going to try to wrap them up and make a little bit more sense of them in just a few minutes. I need a few minutes to collect my thoughts. So in the meantime, I got one more great song for you tonight, and you're going to enjoy this one. I know you're going to enjoy this one. Doesn't really fit with the war theme, but you're going to like it. You're tuned in to Hyrule Academy right here on Radio Hyrule. Welcome on back to Hyrule Academy. I hope you've had a wonderful evening tonight. I know I sure have, especially after that last song that was Thunderstruck by big giant circles, and someone named Jeff. That's his actual username. That's not me questioning the integrity of Jeff. It's definitely Jeff. I respect Jeff. I'm sure he's a fantastic person and a wonderful music artist. May I mention, good stuff tonight from Thunderstruck. Anyways, tonight's show has been absolutely crazy. We've had many discussions about a number of various subjects. And we've kind of went off kilter a little bit, but it's okay because tonight's discussion really shed some light on one of the darkest chapters in Hyrule history. This war, this Hyrulean civil war. Was it a war for the Triforce? Was this the same thing as the Interloper War? We're not quite sure, but it's a very plausible theory, and I'm glad that we had it brought up to us this evening. And second, what perhaps, just perhaps, and it's a strong theory, is it the independence of the Gerudo people. Now, I want to mention before we go on that Brian Buckley mentioned in the chat right after our main discussion segment that perhaps it could not be about the independence of the Gerudo people because the king trusts Ganondorf quite a bit at the start of Ocarina of Time. And the big question is, how much does he question him? Well, it's about taking Ganondorf's word over Zelda's word, the Princess of Hyrule. Zelda says, I've been foretold by my dreams. The blood of the goddess within me tells me Ganondorf's up to no good, and he's trying to steal the Triforce. And the king says, "Shut up, dear. You're hilarious, but Ganondorf's fine. He just kneeled before me, so he has to be good." But whether or not that's a reality, we can't discuss because unfortunately we're a bit over time already. But I wanted to give shout outs to Brian for bringing that up to us. It's something to think on tonight as you head away from the academy, as you pack up your books, as it were. So were the Gorons and the Zoras and the Sheikah involved? Possibly. And every theory that we had tonight kind of strongly suggested that if they were involved, they'd most likely be taking Hyrule's side, the king's side, because of seeing, of course, that they're sworn brothers. They commit themselves to the royal family in the case of the Sheikah. And as for the Zora, while they seem like a more independent party, it does seem pretty possible because of their sharing the waterways with the king that they'll, of course, want to give some love to the king and help him however he may need. And one thing I wanted to mention before we go is the aftermath of the war. I wanted to mention this before we got on in the community section, but I wanted to kind of wrap things up right now. Josh Ryu in the chat actually brought up an excellent point, saying one of the consequences of the war, if we're going along with the Gerudo people independence theory, is that the Gerudo were further isolated or they were discriminated against. Yes, they pledged allegiance to the king, but in the end, we kind of know how things go because Ganondorf is an evildoer. He tries to steal the Triforce. Zelda was perfectly dead on. And inside one timeline, he succeeds. And oops. Dang, if only we listened to Zelda. Wouldn't that have been nice, King? Don't trust Ganondorf. He's bad. His eyes are the deepest evil that you can ever see. Have you seen that man's eyes? The man with the evil eyes? It's that guard in the back. No, it's Ganondorf, the Gerudo man in front of you. Ah, did not see him. He was too busy kneeling to the king. He seems trustworthy. Whoops. Anyways, I wanted to thank everybody for watching tonight. Next week, we're going to have something very special for you. It is going to be the 2014 season finale. That's right. Unfortunately, there's going to be no more shows inside 2014 starting after next week's show. Because I'm going to be hosting Zeldathon, a wonderful charity marathon where we're going to be playing every single Zelda game. Trust me, we gave enough donations for our charity of choice this marathon. And we're going to play every Zelda game for your entertainment and raise some excellent money for charity. So I hope you guys will enjoy that. More details on that is zeldathon.net. But next week, we're still doing a show, 10 p.m. U.S. Eastern Time every Friday. And that is going to be The Spirit of the Hero. That's right. To wrap up things for 2014, let's talk about the Spirit of the Hero. This thing that is mentioned for the first time specifically in kind of Twilight Princess Skyward Sword. It's kind of a split between them, but it's something that's very deep within us. It's going to be a very fun discussion. So anyways, if you want to support Radio Hyrule, go to radiohyrule.com/donate. All of your funds are currently going towards getting us to MagFest a wonderful convention all about music and gaming. Music and Gaming Festival, MagFest, makes sense. So we're going to have a fun time there, and I'll be sure to bring my camera to make sure you catch all the action. So throw a few rupees on into the big wallet at radiohyrule.com/donate. If you have any requests or suggestions for the show, email me, mc@supermcgamer.com. Lastly, thank you for your inputs. It's been a wonderful discussion. I hope your war has been entertaining, because next week we're talking about spooky spirits. Anyways, to leave you off tonight, we have Link to the Mask from Daisy and Nubiso, and this was requested by RV Bagel. Thanks for listening to Hyrule Academy on Radio Hyrule. Bye, everyone.